Brain your cells. It takes 1.5. It often begins in the smallest ways. A bit of hesitation rising from a chair, a subtle unsteadiness on a familiar staircase. It takes 1.5, or a growing reluctance to walk as far as you once did. This ingrained brains around the brain your Helen takes 1.5. These take a moment's quiet be the early whispers of something that affects millions of older adults each year, declining leg strength. And yet, get stuck and ground your cells. It takes 1 brain your half. This isn't just about muscle. It's about movement, about freedom, about whether you can travel to visit a grandchild, and the membranes around your house. It takes 1.5, stroll through a garden in spring, or simply live your days with confidence and grace. When the legs weaken, organs. And the membranes and your membranes around and a half cell. So 2 can independence, and that has profound consequences, not only for physical health, but for emotional and social well-being as well. Or get stuck in your cells. It takes 1.5, but here's the hopeful truth. Science is showing us that strength can be reclaimed, not just maintained, reclaimed. Take in your cell. This in the membranes. It takes 1.5. A growing body of research in aging medicine reveals that targeted micronutrient support, especially taken at night. This in membranes around your cell. It takes 1.5. When the body enters its most active repair state, it can dramatically improve muscle function, energy metabolism, and neuromuscular integrity. In fact, it takes 1.5. When we support our bodies with the right vitamins before bed, this is the membranes around your cells. It takes 1.5. We align with our natural circadian biology to accelerate muscle regeneration and cellular recovery. So what are these key nutrients? Cells, it takes 1.5. And then why does nighttime matter? And the membranes stuck in your brain and your cells around your cells. It takes 1.5. We'll take explore 4-3 explore essential vitamins that, when taken consistently before sleep, may help older adults regain the strength in their legs. Ingrains around your heads. It takes in your brain, your cells. It takes 1.5. Reduce the risk of falls and even improve overall vitality. These are not magic pills, but when combined with movement, hydration, and thoughtful care, so Americans, it takes 1.5. The brains earn, they can support your body's innate wisdom to heal and thrive, even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. We'll look at the science, the stories, brains around your cells. It takes 1.5, and most importantly, what you can do starting tonight. This is about you, your journey, your future mobility. Membranes around your cells. It takes 1.5, and you're right to age with strength and dignity. We'll explore them in that revitalizes tired. This ingredient in your brains at your cells, organs. It takes 1.5. Oxygen-starved leg muscle is the bedtime nutrient that triggers your body-control muscle repair system, and the little-known deficiency that silently weakens older adults' legs and know how to fix. This and the membranes around your cells. It takes 1.5, but this is more than just biochemistry. It's about shifting how we think of aging, not as decline, but as potential. Organ students and ingrain your cells. It takes 1.5 because we are learning more each year, and aging is malleable. Muscle strength can be restored, and your choices matter more than you might think. To manage your cells, it takes 1.5. So let's begin with science, with compassion, and with a renewed belief in what's possible for your health. A few months ago, I met Maria. This in the membrane your cells. It takes 1.5. A 72-year-old retired school teacher who had always kept herself active. Not a gym goer, but someone who loved walking the neighborhood. This ingredient brains and your brand your cells takes 1.5. Tending hers and her flowers bring the stairs to her second-story reading nook. But over the past year, she noticed something unsettling. It takes 1.5. Her legs felt heavy, not painful, just weak. Steps that once felt automatic now required concentration. Her balance, once graceful. If this in your round your cells, it taken 1.5 had become cautious. Maria's labs were unremarkable, except for one thing: her vitamin D level was 18 NAML. This in the membrane takes 1.5. That's below the threshold recommended for older adults and far from the optimal range for musculoskeletal health. Like many seniors, and the membranes around your cells, it takes 1.5. Maria didn't realize just how critical this vitamin is, not just for bones, but for the very fibers and nerves that help our legs move. Organs in your brand your cells, it takes 1.5, and D is a hormone-like nutrient that influences how muscles contract, how nerves fire, and how balance is maintained. Over your cells, it takes 1.5. It also plays a pivotal role in reducing systemic inflammation, one of the major contributors to age-related muscle loss. In fact, gets this ingredient brains in your organ of cells. It takes 1.5, and the meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology, Metabolism, Metabolism, and Tweden found that vitamin D supplementation significantly improved muscle strength, and reduced falls in older adults, particularly those who were deficient to begin with. Membranes around your cells, it takes 1.5. And here's something even more interesting. When taken at night, vitamin D may better align with the body's natural repair rhythms. Guys around your cells, it takes 1.5. Sleep is when our muscles do most of their rebuilding, guided by circadian regulated hormones like growth hormone and melatonin. This stimulants around organs takes 1.5. By supplying vitamin D just before bed, we may be maximizing its availability during this anabolic or tissue building window. In Maria's case, it takes 1.5. A simple shift made a difference. We started her on 1,000 IU vitamin D3 before bed. modest, the member against cell. It takes 1.5, but enough to gently raise her serum level into the mid-30s over several months. Alongside light resistance training and daily walks, the membranes around granular cell, this 1.5, and her leg strength improved. She told me, smiling, I climbed the stairs without grabbing the railing last week. Get the membranes around your cells, it's 1.5. I felt like myself again. It's a powerful reminder leg strength is not just about exercise. This inducts around organ your cells, takes 1.5. It's also about giving your body the raw materials it needs at the right time. So what can you do? First, this membranes organs around your cells, 1.5. Takes your doctor to check your 25's OD levels. That's the gold standard test. If you're below 30 ng/ml, talk about a supplement plan. Gets around your cells. It takes 1.5. A dose over 60 benefit from 800 to 1,000 IU daily, especially in winter or if mobility is limited. Consider taking your D3 at night. It gets the zinc membrane in your cells. It takes around 1.5 with a small amount of healthy fat, like a spoon of nut butter or a piece of avocado to aid absorption. This membrane in your cells. It takes 1.5, and if you're already supplementing during the day, this ingredient's around your cells. It takes 1.5. Switching to a better time might offer new benefits, especially leg weakness or balance is an issue. Now pause for a moment in the membranes around your cells. It takes 1.5. Have you noticed changes in your own leg strength over the years? What if part of that story is biochemical, not inevitable decline? And the membranes around your cells, it takes 1.5. What might change if your evening routine included this simple restorative active nourishment? This ingrains around your cells. It takes 1.5. We'll explore more answers in the next section, including a vital nutrient for nerve protection you may be missing. But for now, a gentle reminder, strength returns when we honor the body's rhythms, give it what it needs, and trust in its ability to renew. James was a former mail carrier, the kind who walked 10 miles a day for decades, delivering letters with a spring in his step and a nod to every neighbor. But by the time he turned 68, that spring had softened. He noticed his steps felt uncertain, especially at night. Sometimes he felt a strange numbness in his feet, and his legs didn't respond with the same coordination they once had. He brushed it off. Aging, he thought. But when a close call on the stairs left him shaken, he finally sought help. The cause? A quiet but powerful deficiency in vitamin B12. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective coating around our nerves. Without it, signals from brain to muscle slow down or misfire entirely. In younger people, low B12 often presents as fatigue or forgetfulness, but in older adults it can look different: unsteady gait, muscle weakness, tingling in the legs, and even mood changes. What makes this especially concerning is that B12 deficiency often goes undiagnosed in older adults. As we age, our stomachs produce less intrinsic factor, a protein needed for B12 absorption. That means even with a diet rich in eggs, fish, or meat, many older adults aren't absorbing what they need. In fact, the Framingham Offspring study found that nearly 20% of adults over 60 had levels considered borderline or deficient, often without any classic symptoms. And here's where timing plays a role again. When taken at night, B12 may help restore the nerve signaling that supports overnight leg rest and morning coordination. It's also involved in the production of serotonin and melatonin, neurotransmitters that help regulate mood and sleep, both of which are critical to maintaining daily energy and motivation for movement. For James, a simple nighttime routine made a noticeable difference. We started with sublingual methylcobalamin, a form of B12 that dissolves under the tongue, bypassing the gut. Within weeks, his sensation improved. His balance was steadier. I felt like the electricity came back, he said, like I was reconnected to my legs. Here's how you can take action. Ask your doctor for a B12 test, especially if you've experienced leg numbness, imbalance or fatigue. If your levels are below 400 pg/ml, you may benefit from a supplement, often 500 to 1,000 mcg daily, ideally as methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin. Consider taking it 30-60 minutes before bed to support overnight nerve repair. If you use a B complex, ensure it includes B12 in an absorbable form, and consider a sublingual option if your digestion has slowed with age. Reflection time. Have you ever experienced unexplained tingling, weakness, or disconnected legs? Could it be more than just aging? Perhaps a message from your nervous system? And what might improve in your daily life? From walking to dancing, from gardening to rising out of a chair, if those nerves had what they needed to fire with full strength again. If you're finding these insights helpful, consider subscribing to this channel. Healthy Aging Lab is here to serve your future with clarity, compassion, and the very best of aging science. And if you have a story like James's, tell us in the comments. Your experiences help others feel seen, and we're listening. Up next, we'll talk about one more vital nutrient, one that plays a quiet but powerful role in muscle relaxation, nighttime recovery, and overall leg strength: magnesium. And you might be surprised how many people, especially those over 60, aren't getting enough. Helen, age 74, had always been a light sleeper, but recently her nights had become more restless than ever. She would wake up with a jolt from sudden leg cramps, sharp, seizing spasms in her calves that made her dread falling asleep at all. Stretching helped, but it wasn't enough. And by morning, her legs felt tired, heavy, and weak. She tried drinking more water. She reduced her caffeine. But it wasn't until her doctor ran a routine blood panel that the answer began to emerge. Her magnesium levels were low. Magnesium is one of the most essential and underappreciated minerals for aging adults. It's involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including those that regulate muscle contractions, nerve signaling, and even the formation of ATP, the energy molecule that powers every muscle movement you make. For the legs, magnesium is critical for both contraction and relaxation. Without enough of it, muscles can cramp, twitch, or remain tight through the night. Over time, this leads not just to poor sleep, but to cumulative fatigue in the legs, making daily activities harder and falls more likely. And Helen's story is not unusual. Research published in Magnesium Research found that up to 60% of adults over age 60 may be magnesium deficient, often without overt symptoms. Factors like certain medications, diuretics, PPIs, lower dietary intake, and reduced absorption all contribute. But there's good news. Magnesium supplementation, especially in the evening, can help restore this critical mineral and unlock deep muscle recovery overnight. In Helen's case, we introduced a small dose of magnesium glycinate before bed, about 200 mg, paired with a cup of warm chamomile tea. Within a few weeks, the cramps diminished. She reported sleeping more soundly, waking up with less stiffness, and regaining confidence in her legs. She put it beautifully. I didn't realize how much tension I was carrying until I felt it lift. You may wonder, why take magnesium at night? The body's natural circadian rhythm favors muscle rebuilding and relaxation during sleep. Magnesium plays a synergistic role with melatonin and GABA, neurotransmitters that calm the nervous system and allow true rest. By timing your magnesium intake to coincide with these natural peaks, you support not only muscle strength, but the very rest that makes strength possible. Here's what you can do. Choose a magnesium form that is well absorbed and gentle on the stomach, such as glycinate, citrate, or threonate. Start with 100-200 mg, which is about 30 minutes before bed. You can adjust based on tolerance and effects. Pair it with a calming bedtime routine like stretching, deep breathing, or a warm soak to deepen its impact. And if you're experiencing leg cramps, stiffness, or restless legs, magnesium could be a missing piece. Now pause with me. Have you ever felt your legs twitch or seize at night? Do you wake feeling unrested, even though you've technically slept? What might change if your legs and your nervous system had the support they needed to fully relax and repair? Aging doesn't have to mean waking up exhausted or wary of your own steps. With nutrients like magnesium, we give our bodies permission to exhale, restore, and rebuild. We'll explore that restoration more deeply in the next section, including how a tiny daily habit helped one man regain the power to rise from his chair with strength and grace. Before we move on, if any part of this speaks to you, I invite you to share your experience in the comments. Your story might be the very one another person needs to hear tonight. Raymond had never been one for routines. At 69, he prided himself on spontaneity. He'd eat when hungry, sleep when tired, and take his vitamins when he remembered, which admittedly wasn't often. But last winter, after a long illness, something changed. He found himself struggling to rise from his favorite armchair, not just sore, but weak. His legs simply didn't seem to answer the call. His doctor ruled out anything acute. His labs were mostly normal, and yet Raymond felt off. He told me, "It's like I'm disconnected from my own legs. They're there, but they don't feel reliable anymore." What Raymond was experiencing wasn't just muscle fatigue. It was the cumulative impact of years of inconsistent self-care, especially when it came to the small, essential nutrients that our bodies rely on daily. When it comes to micronutrients like vitamin D, B12, and magnesium, the body responds best not to bursts, but to consistency. Think of these nutrients not as bandages, but as bricks in a structure. Taken once in a while, they're helpful. Taken regularly, they rebuild. A 2020 review in the journal Nutrients emphasized this point clearly among older adults. Routine daily supplementation, even at moderate doses, was more effective in improving functional outcomes than intermittent high-dose therapies. It's the rhythm, not just the quantity, that drives resilience. And timing matters, too. Our circadian system governs everything from hormone release to protein synthesis. By taking targeted vitamins at night, we give the body tools during the very window it's trying to rebuild and repair, especially skeletal muscle. For Raymond, the shift was simple but profound. We created a nightly ritual: dinner by 6:30, a 10-minute walk, then his 3 R's: restore, relax, repair, a glass of water, a magnesium capsule, a small B12 lozenge, and vitamin D3 with a sliver of almond butter. He wrote it on an index card and taped it to the fridge. After 4 weeks, he noticed something subtle. Rising from the chair no longer required a second effort. His legs felt less hollow, as he described it. After 2 months, He was walking longer distances with confidence. It's not just strength, he told me. It's trust. I trust my legs again. His experience underscores a truth we often overlook. Routine is a form of self-respect. When we nourish our bodies consistently, we remind them they're worth caring for every day, not just in emergencies. Here's what you can do. Create a simple bedtime routine that includes your 3 core vitamins, D3, B12, and magnesium. Keep them in a designated place, near your toothbrush or on the nightstand, so the habit becomes automatic. Pair the routine with something calming, reading, prayer, quiet music, or gratitude journaling. This creates a reinforcing loop. Remembers habits don't require perfection, just repetition. Start small, stay steady. Let me ask you, what might become easier in your life? Climbing stairs, gardening, walking into a room with confidence. If you gave your legs the same care and rhythm you give your sleep or meals. What if a 2-minute evening ritual could unlock a stronger tomorrow? If this resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to Healthy Aging Lab. Here, we believe in the daily power of small acts and in the extraordinary resilience of your body and spirit. And if you've started a vitamin routine that's helping you, tell us in the comments. Your practice may inspire someone else to begin. Next, we'll explore what happens when you pair these bedtime nutrients with gentle evening movement, and how one woman turned 5 minutes of nightly stretching into a turning point for her mobility and leg strength. Mina, age 76, never considered herself athletic, but she loved to dance, not in ballrooms or studios, but barefoot in her living room, swaying to old Hindi songs as the sun went down. For years, it had been her way of unwinding, reconnecting with herself after long days caring for others. But recently, her balance had faltered. She began avoiding her evening dances, afraid she might trip or lose her footing. I didn't want to admit it. She'd told me, but my legs weren't doing what I asked them to. Her doctor had started her on a vitamin D and magnesium regimen after low blood work, and she was beginning to feel less cramping at night. But strength still lagged behind. That's when we introduced a small shift. 5 minutes of mindful movement before bed, paired with her supplements. Nothing intense, just ankle circles, heel raises, seated leg lifts, and a few deep breathing squats by the wall. Within 2 weeks, she noticed something remarkable. Her confidence was returning. "It's like my legs remembered their job," she said. And soon enough, the music returned to her evenings, and so did the dance. What happened for Mina wasn't just psychological, it was physiological. Movement enhances blood flow, improves vitamin uptake into muscle cells, and activates neuromuscular pathways. It also signals to the brain, these muscles are still in use, keep supporting them. And when done consistently right before sleep, this light activity works synergistically with micronutrients to accelerate overnight muscle recovery. In fact, a 2019 study in experimental gerontology found that older adults who paired light resistance training with vitamin D and magnesium had significantly better leg power and functional mobility than those who took supplements alone. The body thrives on signals, and movement is one of the strongest ones we have. And it doesn't take much. 2 minutes of heel to toe walking down a hallway, 5 ankle rolls per leg while sitting on the bed, 10 gentle squats, holding onto the sink for support. These small actions do two things. They increase circulation, helping distribute nutrients into tissues, and they activate motor units in the legs, keeping neural pathways engaged. Here's how you might build your own strength and settle routine. Take your 3 vitamins, D3, B12, and magnesium with a sip of water or light snack. Do 3 to 5 minutes of gentle leg-focused movement, even while seated. Finish with 2 minutes of quiet breathing or gratitude reflection. This blend of micronutrients plus micro movement creates a powerful feedback loop. Your muscles are nourished, engaged, and given the message to rebuild, all while you sleep. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you gave your legs some love before bed? Not just a stretch or a pill, but attention, movement, and support. What if that 5-minute ritual could be the turning point? The spark that helps you rise with strength, walk with ease, or return to something you once loved, like Mina's quiet dance. Aging does not mean surrendering your spark. It means listening more deeply to what your body needs and responding with care. In our final section, we'll bring all of this together. We'll revisit why leg strength is so central to independence, and how a simple bedtime shift done consistently can support not just your muscles, but your dignity, freedom, and joy. But before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have an evening movement ritual? Or could you start one tonight? Let's learn from each other and to support the wisdom of our bodies together. Samuel, age 82, never expected his granddaughter to be his biggest motivation. But one evening, while struggling to stand up from the couch, he caught her watching, quietly, curiously. Her small fingers wrapped around a doll, her big eyes full of questions. She didn't say anything, he told me later, but I realized in that moment, I want to be someone she sees standing tall. That moment, quiet, almost invisible to the outside world, became a turning point. Samuel began asking new questions. What could he do, not just to avoid frailty, but to model resilience, to teach her by example that strength doesn't end with age? His story touches something universal. Leg strength is more than a health metric. It's about independence, yes, but it's also about presence, about the ability to walk beside those we love, to kneel down and help a child, to rise to greet life fully engaged. And that kind of presence doesn't just come from willpower. It requires biological support, the kind that builds slowly, quietly, with the daily acts of care. The 3 vitamins we've explored, D3, B12, and magnesium, are not miracles on their own, but together they represent a kind of scaffolding for strength. Each plays a distinct role. Vitamin D3 tells your muscles when and how to contract, enhancing tone, balance, and bone communication. Vitamin B12 keeps your nerves sharp and responsive, allowing your legs to move swiftly and your feet to feel the ground beneath them. Magnesium ensures those muscles can rest, recover, and stay flexible during the critical hours of sleep. When taken consistently and timed with intention at night, these nutrients begin to reinforce one another, and the result, a foundation strong enough to restore mobility, rebuild confidence, and reshape what aging looks like. Recent research published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity supports this. in a cohort of older adults with early signs of mobility decline. Those who adopted both nutritional and behavioral evening resets, including vitamin intake and light movement, showed significant improvements in gait speed and lower limb strength after just 12 weeks. The key wasn't intensity, it was consistency, a nightly rhythm. And for Samuel, that rhythm became sacred. He began a ritual vitamins at 800 p.m., followed by standing marches in place, and then 5 deep, slow breaths. Within 2 months, he was not only walking more steadily, he had regained the confidence to take his granddaughter to the park. She ran ahead, he said. But I wasn't far behind, and that mattered more than I can explain. So I ask you now, who do you want to walk beside? Who might be watching, gently, quietly, learning from the way you care for your body? What might it mean for you and for them if you committed to a 2-minute act of nourishment tonight? There is dignity in care, there is legacy in resilience, and there is power in the simple things. A capsule, a stretch, a breath, taken with intention, taken every day. In our conclusion, we'll bring all of this together. The science, the stories, the action steps, and I'll offer you one gentle challenge to begin tonight. We began with a question, not just of biology, but of possibility. Can you at 60, 70, 80, or beyond truly rebuild strength in your legs? Can you restore not just muscle, but the confidence to walk, to rise, to participate fully in life? The science and the stories? Say yes. Let's revisit what we've uncovered together. Vitamin D3 taken at night supports your muscle fibers, strengthens your lower limbs, and enhances balance. It does this by influencing calcium signaling, gene expression, and inflammatory control, all of which affect how your legs feel and function. Vitamin B12 protects the nervous system that tells your legs how to move. It safeguards coordination, sensory perception, and stability, yet it is one of the most underdiagnosed deficiencies in older adults. Taken regularly and in the right form, B12 can help restore lost neuromuscular connection. Magnesium, meanwhile, facilitates deep muscular relaxation and energy production while you sleep. It calms the nervous system, helps prevent night cramps, and works hand in hand with your body's overnight repair processes to prepare your legs for the day ahead. Individually, these nutrients are powerful, but together, timed with intention, and delivered with consistency, they become part of a greater whole, a foundation for mobility, dignity, and active aging. And when you add even a few minutes of gentle evening movement, a walk, a stretch, a breath, you multiply their effect. Not because you're chasing youth, but because you're investing in something deeper: freedom. Freedom to move, to walk without fear, to stand when it matters most, for yourself and for those you love. As Dr. Linda P. Freud and her colleagues have long emphasized, aging is not simply a story of loss. It is a story of adaptation, resilience, and untapped strength, especially when we harness science in service of human well-being. So tonight, I invite you to begin, not with perfection, not with pressure, just with a question: what might change if I honored my body's rhythms and gave it what it needs to repair tonight? Choose one small action. Place your vitamins by your bedside. Do 3 leg stretches while brushing your teeth. Reflect on the strength you want to preserve and why it matters to you. Your body is listening, and it remembers. Even the smallest rituals repeated in love have the power to transform the way you age. If you found this helpful, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Healthy Aging Lab. This is more than a channel. It's a movement toward informed, compassionate, and empowered aging. And your story matters. Share in the comments. What has helped you stay strong? What challenges are you facing with leg strength or balance? What will you try tonight? Let's learn from one another, because aging is not a solo journey. It's a shared one. And every strong step forward begins with a choice. Tonight, let it begin with yours.